Good morning once again, and we welcome you to the Uganda We Want. This program is in partnership with the Interreligious Council of Uganda, and this is a platform where we share views and insights on the kind of country we would like to see, that kind of Uganda we would like to have. Of course, there is a lot that is happening in the country. The political atmosphere is becoming tense and tense. Of course, we know that all political parties are busy with their roadmaps, especially our candidates picking and bring back nomination forms for the party primaries, and of course we wait to see how that happens. But also there is still a lot that is happening in the country. Yesterday, the president and the first lady enrolled for the renewal of their national identity cards. So that now means that we should also be part. Of course, they have shown us the example. They have taken a lead, and therefore, if you have not yet go to a place where the nearest staff are, so that you can renew your national ID, because some IDs have expired, others have not yet. But anyway, you realize that these new IDs come with new features. So even if your ID is not yet expired, but at least you need an ID that has these new features that need to be reflected on your national ID. And of course, the Electoral Commission is done with the special interest groups, and so we know that very soon we shall have the youth and the persons with disabilities getting into their elections. Of course, that is the first election that we shall have, and then we shall get into nominations. And after the nominations, of course, we shall now get into serious business come next year. From January, we shall be into voting president, then legislators, then all the other political officers shall be voted. Now, away from that, today we are talking about religious tourism. Last week, we had one of those religious events in this country, and that was Martyrs' Day, which was on the 3rd of June, and this is celebrated every 3rd of June. But of course, there are very many other religious tourism platforms. Of course, besides the 23 Anglican and 22 Catholic martyrs that were murdered in Namugongo, there of course are very many other sites. Some we know, some we do not know. There are also those that probably we think should be tourism sites, but have not yet been developed to that level. Why have they not been developed? And of course, how can the communities that are close to these tourism sites benefit out of these sites, besides the government that gets in revenue? But also, how can we enhance and see that we grow religious tourism? Now, that is what we are talking about today. Edrine Osteen Mukalazi is my name, and of course, our guest today is Sophie Balijuka, who is a Senior Tourism Product Development, Investment and Research Officer from the Uganda Tourism Board. Sophie, it's a pleasure having you this morning.
Thank you, Edrine. It's a pleasure for me to be here.
And good morning.
Good morning.
How is Uganda Tourism Board?
Uganda Tourism Board is great.
Okay.
A lot has been happening. Of course, the Martyrs' Day has been on, but also there's been the coronation of the King of Bunyoro.
Bunyoro, sorry.
Yeah, so it's actually happening on today. It's on the 11th. Yeah. So it's busy, but all is well, and we are still in the business of promoting this beautiful destination and ensuring that our sector is well regulated, so that when we have visitors come to us or travelers, they receive value for their money, and they indeed get what they expected, such that the destination continues to be competitive, people are employed within the sector, and also there's a lot of the multiplier effect that crosses down onto other sectors like agriculture, transport, and so many others. So the board is great, and we are doing great.
So, of course, we know that there is the Ministry of Tourism where the board falls, but someone would really want to understand the mandate of Uganda Tourism Board and what do you work on? What is within your jurisdiction?
Okay, thank you. So Uganda Tourism Board, as you've explained, Edrine, is a government agency. It was instituted in 1994, but it's under the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities. So Uganda Tourism Board has 12 functions, but the key functions I would mention is one, we are charged with promoting Destination Uganda as a preferred tourism destination to anyone that would like to undertake a trip. So that is our biggest charge, that whoever is thinking of travel, Uganda should be the first on their mind to actually move to. Then two, we are charged with regulating the sector. So we are supposed to register tourism enterprises, we are supposed to inspect, we are supposed to license, we are supposed to grade all these tourism establishments. So when you see star-rated facilities, that is the work of UTB. 5-star, 2-star, 3-star, that is the work of the Uganda Tourism Board. We're supposed to regulate the sector to ensure that we are competitive and we meet the international standards of a tourism establishment. Even though it's a tour operator, even though it's a hotel, even though you are a tour guide, you must meet the least expectations from someone who would want to use your services. Then three, we are charged with promoting investment in the tourism sector. We are supposed to ensure that any investor that would like to come to Uganda or would love to invest in Africa, tourism is one of the things they would like to invest in. So we pitch the destination for tourism and make sure that tourism investment opportunities are out there and shared with the potential investors for investment. Then we also undertake research in the tourism sector to know where we are as a country and where we are going and what we need to do, such that any planning that we do is evidence-based with figures properly out there, and that too determines the products that we develop. That's why we also have the product development function under the board, because you're supposed to guide, even for the private players, we are supposed to guide on what products they can develop basing on the studies we have undertaken in research, and also basing on our national marketing strategy, such that they are aligned to the marketing strategy of the country, that we're able to promote them, we're able to enhance them, and we're able to improve them. Okay. Basically, that's what we do.
Okay. Wow. It's quite interesting, especially now that we know there is research, there is regulation, but most importantly, like you said, that this is the key. Now that is promoting a destination, Uganda. So what are some of the things that you do to promote tourism in Uganda? That, like you said, that when someone thinks of coming to you, thinks of traveling, then Uganda should be one of those places they want to come to.
There is a lot that we do, but I would like to still appreciate the government of Uganda that in the next 5-year program, that is the NDP4, tourism is top of the priorities the government is undertaking, which is in the acronym ATIMS. That is agro-industrialization, that is for the A. The T is the tourism, the M is the minerals, then minerals, ICT, then So we are happy that government has actually prioritized tourism. That is a good pitch to anyone coming to the country, that as you come in the country, the government of Uganda has deemed it fit, has deemed it important, that the tourism sector is very, very crucial. That means government is able to provide security for the tourists. It's able to provide a good working environment for the potential investors and any investor that would like to come in, and that means there's a deliberate effort to improve the infrastructure in the country, because tourism is everyone's business. It cuts across everything. You cannot say that there's this particular sector that has no relationship to tourism, because people travel for different reasons. People will travel to even see minerals. People will even just travel to just move around, to just maybe take in the transport system. Some travel for education purposes, some travel for medical purposes. All that is tourism. So when government prioritizes tourism, that means almost the entire country is on a journey of development, which is one way we appreciate the government that has put us out there. But for Uganda Tourism Board, there are so many things that we do to ensure that that the tourism sector, the beautiful country is pitched. We advertise, we do advertising on the national TVs, but also on the international TVs like CNN, to ensure that numbers can move. We also have a number of digital handles that we own as a board, that if someone is searching for tourism in Uganda, they should be able to locate us and also know what we offer on the website. Also on the search engines, like if maybe you searched Uganda or Africa, Uganda should be top of the destinations in Africa that someone can easily move into. We also attend international exhibitions and expos where we pitch the destinations to other people who would like to travel, and also other travel trade that would like to partner and add Uganda on their list of countries that they move to. We also do domestic activations, Take on the Pearl, Explore, Soga, Explore, Renzori. So all that is deemed at attracting both the international traveler, the regional traveler, and also the domestic travelers. We've also done partnerships with regional tourism boards, with Kenya for the Mombasa coast and Uganda, where we do an exchange. Ugandan travel trade moves to Mombasa, also the Mombasa travel trade moves to Uganda, to see how they add these itineraries on their list of activities their travelers can do. And more of these will be done in the next phase to ensure that Uganda is indeed competitive and it's out there for people to know about this beautiful country.
Okay.
Yes.
What about locally here? Because most of these seem to be attracting tourists from out of Uganda.
Yes.
What about our local tourists here? Are there any initiatives that you're carrying on to see that me, who is in Kampala, I can go and tour maybe Western Uganda or tour Kapchora?
Yeah, we've had a number of those. We've had a number of domestic activations.
Okay.
We've had Explore Soga. We have had Explore the West. We have had Explore North. We've had Take on the Pearl. We've had raffles, where people win raffles and they actually travel. But we've also had sharings of tour operators for domestic packages, that if you're a group and you'd like to travel, how much would each travel? Because Ugandans are comfortable with traveling in groups. So when we know each other, we can easily move together as long as you're going to the same destination. So there have also been those promotions, but also been promotions for solo travel where we use influencers to show people where they could travel to. The recent one was with Uncle Mo, where he moved to Kalangala, like to show you that you can actually move on your own and you don't need to have a lot of money to actually move. Yeah, you can be on a budget and you still have a good time and a good experience within the country without having to think of a destination out of the country. You can still travel within, and whatever you're looking for out there, even the country has it. So that we've been undertaking, but we've also done advertisement on our local TV stations using usually the Ipsos report results, and that has been happening. And from the time COVID hit us to date, the number of domestic travelers actually more than the international travelers. That means there's growth. People are appreciating their natural resource better, and they're willing to spend and still have a good time within their country.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, talking about tourism, there are things we know, and there are places we know that probably these are tourism sites. But there are also places that you have branded as tourism sites when people never imagined they are. What are some of the tourism sites that follow under that category?
Uganda is, it's called the Pearl of Africa. Whatever you're looking for in Africa, Uganda has it. Like, it has something of it. If you're a person into history, it will give it to you. If you're a person into culture, it will give it to you. If you're a person into faith, it will give it to you. If you're a person into wildlife safari, Uganda will still give you a bit. That's why it's the Pearl of Africa, because it literally summarizes the entire Africa. So if you're a person short on time and finance and you want to just summarize Africa, Uganda is usually the recommended destination for you to move to. But beyond that, Uganda has key selling propositions that we take out to the world. One, it is home to the source of the longest river in the world, which is the River Nile. For context, this is the river where Jesus drank water. Yeah, it may not make sense for someone that this is a very long river, starts all the way from Uganda, goes all the way to Egypt. Jesus drank water from this river, yeah, and Uganda is source to that river, yeah, and it's a livelihood for many of the countries along the chain. Uganda is also home to the largest freshwater lake in Africa, which is the Lake Victoria, yeah. And also beyond that, it is home to over 50% of the world's surviving mountain gorillas.
Oh.
Yeah, and these mountain gorillas are only in 3 countries. That is us, our neighbors Rwanda and DRC. But Uganda has over 50% of the entire population of the world. 3, Uganda has a unique mountain, which is the Rwenzori Mountains. They are called mountains because it's a block. They are ranges. And this mountain has snow all year round. But what makes it interesting is it lies along the equator. And equator has the highest temperature. So ideally, it's heat surviving in the coldest parts. So usually pitch it for anyone who is looking for challenge, toughness, and conquering themselves. Mount Rwenzori is one of the things we always pitch for. Then we also are the primate capital of the world, which is found in the Kibale National Park. And we also have the largest caldera in the world, which we find at Mountain Elgon. We also have a point in this country where you're in 3 countries at the same time. When you hike the Mount Muhabura, you'll be at a point where you're in Rwanda, DRC, and Uganda at the same time. So it's quite interesting, but also have amazing safaris. We are home to the Big 5. We have the Big 5, and we add the additional 2. So we have the Big 5 plus 2, which makes it the Big 7. The 2 are the chimps and the mountain gorillas. And we are also home to hospitable people. It's interesting that Uganda is home to 65 tribes. Yet we are hospitable. Ideally, people would maybe be, you don't understand me. But somehow we are happy to have people. We are happy to belong. We are so hospitable, which is a good welcome gesture for tourists. So they're happy to belong. You'll meet a stranger and it's like you've met for a long time. We are just a hospitable kind of group. But also in the side of faith, we have quite a number of iconic sites. One is we have the 3rd largest mosque in the world, in Africa. That is the Gaddafi Mosque. We also have the only mother temple for Baha'i in Africa, which is the Baha'i temple in just up there in Kanyanya. Then we also have the Uganda Matters. So
there is this mosque that you're talking about. What makes it so unique and
So this mosque, it's a Muslim mosque, but it was built by Christians. That's also unique.
By Christians?
Yes. It was held in the era of Idi Amin. He really, because he was Muslim, so he felt he needed to make sure the country has a mosque. And at the time of completion, it was the biggest mosque in Africa. Of course, developments come through and other bigger mosques show up. So it now became the 3rd. Also to note, it has architecture from 3 various countries. It has Italian architecture, it has Roman architecture, it also has the African architecture, which makes it a site. And also, when you move up the minaret, it gives you a 360-degree view of Kampala. Which is a good sight to behold, and has amazing guides who take you through the history of the Islamic religion in Uganda and how it spread, and all that history bit that also comes into the mosque. Why it was built by Christians, it was actually a mosque. But it was, even though it was built by Christians, they had particular orders which they followed to the beat, which makes it quite an interesting space to visit.
Sure. Now we see why it is a tourism site. You are also talking about other tourism sites.
We also have the Uganda Matters. These were colonized, I think, 50 years ago, if I remember. I'm not sure, but it must be about 50 years ago.
50 or 60.
Yes, that's when they were canonized. So the story is touching. It's a journey of faith. It's a journey of resilience. It's a journey of conviction, where you're so convicted that this is what I believe in. Sometimes you're never convicted. You're there, but not converted. So this is a journey of men who were fully convicted that this is the right journey, and they took their journey of faith until they died for their faith. So it's a nice story to listen to and take the journey all the way from Munyonyo. Munyonyo is usually the start point, but other people I know have stretched out to even find out the places where these people lived. Because some of them were slaves that moved to Buganda at the time, so they had homes outside Buganda in Bunyoro. So some of them take that longer journey to even those places. But we also have the Rubaga Cathedral that has had 3 popes visit it, and we also hope this one will also come and visit. So it's also quite interesting. But we also have a wealth of cultural products,
Okay.
including the Kasubi tombs, which is a UNESCO site, and so many others that stretch through Nakaima, Tanda, so vast. Excuse me. So Uganda is rich. That's all I can say. If you talk about what Uganda offers, we could go on and on and on. And this doesn't, I've not even talked about the adventure activities that raise your adrenaline and give you that leap of faith. Like, for example, if you do the bungee jumping, you understand how the leap of faith should feel like when you're taking it. Like, you do not know what the future holds, but you're still going. Yeah, so the bungee jumping, the whitewater rafting, you feel yourself going out, the abseiling in Kapchora. There's a lot you discover about yourself while you undertake these products, and a lot you like about the country. You sit down and appreciate the work of God, that indeed God was an artist, because how did all this form itself? And also you also realize your role in the whole global sphere of the world. Like, you're minute, but the world is a very beautiful place to be.
Okay. Yeah. So now getting into unlocking the potential of religious tourism. Of course, you talked about the old Kampala Mosque. We also talked about the Namugongo. We now have a museum and at the Anglican site, but also you talked about Lubaga Cathedral. There is Namirembe Cathedral and all this. So why do they become so key, especially in tourism? Because someone would really say, religion, who would come to Uganda to hear about religion, which we only brought in the country?
I love religious tourism because this is what I feel. It is easy to repeat a product. It's a product that is easy to repeat and go back into. Okay. Just like how you see people read the Quran every day, but they still read it. People read the Bible every day, but they still read it. Like, there is no point of like, I have read the Bible and I am done.
I don't need to read it again.
So products that target faith are repeat products, because you cannot say, I've now finished. That's why you see Mrs. Nyerere moves every year to the matters. Yeah. That means it's a journey of faith. It's a journey she feels she has to take every year. So that's why I'm a very good promoter of faith-based tourism products, because their chance of having repeat visitors is very high compared to wildlife or adventure. If I do bungee jumping, most people don't want to do it again. They're like, I've ticked a box, I'm done with it. I've ticked water rafting, I'm done with it. I've done abseiling, I'm done with it. But any journey that is taken for faith, because religious tourism means people travel for spiritual reasons. Apart from the leisure tourists who just travel for leisure, or like, I just want to be wowed with a story. Most people who travel for faith keep going back, because it's a personal conviction you want to have with your God, and that leads you there. So sometimes maybe if for example you're Catholic and they tell you this particular cathedral in Uganda has hosted 3 popes, it will move you to actually want to know what is so special about this cathedral. So for that reason, you've become a tourist. Ideally, you wouldn't have, otherwise you'd have worship from another cathedral. There are so many cathedrals in the world. But what makes it stand out is its significance, its artwork. Even, for example, the Namirembe, it has, I think, the biggest grand piano in Uganda. So sometimes you move to just see the work of art. How have these structures been standing for over 100 years? Like, what new thing was done? And that may even put people who are into architecture, into construction, to just find the work of art, but also to go through the journey of people who moved this faith, Because I'm just imagining you're a new convert. I don't think they knew the Bible so well, Maybe they had just learnt a few things here and there, and they were still going through their catechism classes, and now they have to surrender their entire history they had known, what they were worshipping, because I'm sure they're worshipping something, and now this is a new faith, and now they're telling you, if you do not denounce your faith, we are going to kill you. So sometimes, even when you take the journey, there are things you'll ask yourself. You may not be a believer in the matters or anything, but there are things you ask yourself, like, what is that important to me that I can die for? That regardless of anything, I could actually say, you know what, let my life go for this. So it's a journey of reflection, it's a journey of faith. You take it with faith. That's why I find people can walk all the way from Moyo to Namugongo, because they believe there is a calling. And such people can easily people can easily keep coming back, which is good for the economy and gets more revenue into the economy. Even those that come from abroad, DRC, Nigeria, our neighbors, Rwanda, Kenya. Most of them, when they come, they still keep coming back, because it's a journey of faith that you can't take once and you're done. You keep going back to it. because there are so many discoveries you keep getting to know as you take the journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk about tourism, I mean religious tourism. We know that the government of Uganda, still under Uganda Tourism Board, supports these events, the Catholics, the Anglicans, and the Muslims. I think they were supposed to commemorate their martyrs yesterday, although the event flopped somehow. But why does the government support these arrangements every year that comes by? And the president actually said that he wants to see this being incorporated in the national budget moving forward. The matters preparations, the money that's supposed to be given to the preparations should be incorporated in the government. Why does it pique all that interest, government interest, to see that they are willing to fully support this entire arrangement?
One, the numbers speak for themselves, because if it's a one-day event and you're having over 200,000 pilgrims, that should show you that there's a potential for this to be a year-on-year event. Like, it doesn't need to be one day. That means it has potential to run the whole year with no season in, season out. Yeah, and the Christians believe that if you're in the Lord, you must fruit, whether in season or out of season. Yeah, so. When you look at the matters, if just a one-day event can bring over 200,000 pilgrims into the country, even most events, the Bivolos don't attract that much. Yeah. Even the Nyege, which is the biggest entertainment event in Africa, doesn't bring those numbers down here, but the matters do. That means if this product is well curated and well developed, it could, we could relax, and we will not be at the point where people charge at entrance, because there's a divergence with the church of, like, if I charge you at the entrance, that means I've charged you for prayer, because you know most people come in for prayer, and so we can say, okay, we won't charge you for prayer, but along the way you're taking the journey, that means you're going to buy something to eat, you might have to sleep, because you're not going to take this journey in one day. Most likely you're going to take it in a phase. You rest, even though you rest at a church, you'll have to eat, you'll have to dress up. So how are the hotels positioning themselves on these routes? How are the tour guides packaging their products that any day of the year I can have a group travel to actually move through the matters without, because most people maybe don't want a crowd. So how do I make the product speak to you as well? Even when you want to come maybe in January, there should be something already organized for you that maybe at about $500 you start your journey. You can even start it from the airport. You say, maybe let's go to Chigungu, where the Catholic matters, the Catholic missionaries first landed, and then you move the journey, and they tell you the story of how the martyrdom started, how did the king who invited the missionaries now come later with the son fighting them. They take you through all that story until you actually finally reach the Namgongo Anglican Museum, where most of them were finally martyred. It could be an interesting story. Even for the Muslims, you could take the journey of the Muslim martyrs, how they were killed, and for them the numbers were actually many, and they were killed in one go. So
about 80, it's about 77.
So all those are stories that can be told year in, year out. And for this to be done well, that means government has to invest, not just in the site, because the site is the final destination, but there is so much along the way. Infrastructure, how is the road network leading people to the site? How is the accommodation, the utilities? Is there easy access to water, easy access to power, easy access to accommodation if you want to spend a night? How is the traffic? Because also traffic disturbs tourists, because they are planning a travel. I should be done with this circuit maybe in 2 hours if I'm using car, but now when these traffic issues come in, so you see, if you look at the Matters Trail, there's a lot of development going on to expand the road network, that it propels investment in the sector, because if the road network is clear, government has already invested in the utilities, power and water, you can be convinced to invest in a restroom, in a stopover point for refreshment. And we feel when government puts their best foot forward, even the private sector who wants to invest will be convinced to actually invest in this route. But also we are looking at making the Namgongo product a night and day product. Shouldn't just end in the day, because it's a dark tourism product in the other way around, because people were killed. Sometimes want to visualize how this actually happened, so it can be sound and light. Maybe in the night when you go to visit, there are projectors playing, and you're hearing the screams of people from the first matter. What were they saying? And all this information is actually already there with partnership with the Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, which usually does most of the archivery for government. So all this can be brought to life in partnership with the different faiths, the Anglican Church, the Catholic Church, and maybe also the Uganda Kingdom, to pick the snippets from the kings that were there at the time, to bring the story to life. And for people to actually live in the moment, because it's what people are living in. That's why there is VR, virtual reality, augmented reality, that you live in the moment and you walk the journey feeling how they felt as they were taking on this journey. So that's why the government is so interested and so involved with particularly the matters.
Okay.
Yes. And we also hope after this, it will also propel to the different places where these matters came from. For example, Andrea Kahwa came from Bunyoro. So if maybe there's a development that will also come out from there, because they know it's linking to this story. There's another site in Kienjojo, Katosa, where there are those stones, so it could also be a propel to that site also be developed. The ones also at Mitiana. So all these are propellers. Government is trying to propel investment and development for this entire product, such that it's accessible, its activities are rich. You don't need to come for one day for mass and go. You can actually stay for a whole week and you're engaged.
Okay.
Yes.
So is it something that you're also pushing, especially in advertisement, or you only leave the advertisement to the church? So it is the church to talk about the various sites that are available, and then you can only support them financially, or you've also included it on the products you
We've
market?
also included it on the products, and maybe a key fact, the Central Matters Trail was developed by Uganda Tourism Board. The church used to do, you go to Munyonyo, they tell you go to the next side, but there was never a clear route. If someone came on their own, what would be that route? This was done by Uganda Tourism Board in 2017 to mark a proper central route. And when they marked the central route, they put actually signage on all the points in the central route. This was envisioned to actually spread out further to the other routes outside the Kampala metropolitan area. And this year we did a refurbishment, where they are now more visible, more clearer. So there's a lot of advertisement we do, and we're also planning to do more, maybe near the airport, to see if someone comes in, they should also know that there's this product they could take in, because it's a city product. And if you're in the city for a day, maybe waiting for a flight, you could actually take the journey and then head out to Entebbe to take your flight back home. So it's, those are all avenues we're undertaking, and also supporting the music festivals, because there's always a music festival before the matters. So we support the different regions that have stories with the matters to also showcase what the matters went through. And with time, this can even be done into proper documentaries, movies, with a bit of fiction and drama, but not spoiling the story. The story should stay as is, novels that someone can read and be compelled that actually there is a lot that is happening in this beautiful country.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this all looks beautiful, and we commend the support of Uganda Tourism Board. But also talking about this, there is a site that also brings people together. I don't know whether it is also part of the products that Uganda Tourism Board has for development, and that is the Huntington site in Busoga.
Yes.
Is it something you've also picked interest in, because it also brings people together every year, I think around October, to gather and remember Bishop Huntington?
Yes, we do that as well. And a lot of development was done. It was done under a project which also included Kagulu Rock. So the road network was done at the time, and also the site sculpturing was also a bit improved. But this was done majorly by the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities. But this happens every year, and we commemorate Bishop Huntington, because he also was a missionary as well, but also an explorer on the other hand, and also he was a victim of circumstances. Yes, maybe he wouldn't have been murdered, but he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. So he maybe used the wrong route, but because it's faith, we always believe the Lord doesn't make a mistake. So the Lord knew. But so that we participate, usually we'll just send a group and we'll maybe do a newsletter to commemorate that day and key lessons from the life of Bishop Hannington. And that is it. But it could be improved, I know, because there's a lot of improvement that can be done in it, especially that direction. Because you find most of the religious tourism sites, the development is centralized, like central Uganda that has most of the development. So it's one of the sites we look at to expand development outside, including also the smallest church in Uganda. It's actually an Anglican church. So all of those, like to enhance that every region can actually go out there and market its products, including the faith-based products.
Okay.
Yes.
So are there any challenges that you're encountering, especially in pushing religious tourism as Uganda Tourism Board?
Yeah, of course challenges are always there. We've chosen not to focus on them, but they are still there, and we are looking for solutions. When we meet the challenges, we always focus on how do we work with the church. For example, we had an issue of the church saying we can't charge people at entrance because Uganda Tourism Board doesn't believe in free tourism. Because once a product is free, you have no expectations. Because I cannot call you to your service. I didn't pay anything. So if I came to your hotel and my charge is zero, even when the food is bad, you can't say anything because what did you pay? Like, you didn't pay anything. So sometimes it waters down service quality. So we do not believe in free tourism. We always believe pay such that you are accountable. I paid 10,000. I can tell you the guide was not good because I paid. Yeah, but when I've not paid, like I'll even ask you what's the audacity. Like it was free. Like you don't, like, as if you had no expectation. So those are discussions we've had with the church. The church believes that this is a journey of faith. We cannot charge someone for prayers. Like that is like charging someone for prayers, which we believe and agree with. So we are trying to see. Then we're like, okay, can we separate the pilgrim from the tourist? If someone comes and says I'm a pilgrim, they can enter for free. If someone says I'm a leisure tourist wanting to find out information and I'm curious about this whole thing, they pay. I think that was implemented at the Namugongo Catholic and also the Namugongo Anglican, because museum. Now they separated the church
and the museum.
From the museum. So when you go to the museum, you pay. When you go to the church, you go and do your mass, pray, do any supplications you want to do and leave. Yeah, Mnyonyo said no, it will be for free even with the guides there. So we are trying to see how at the end there is a fee that is there, but without diverging with church principles and what the church strongly believes in. So those are discussions that we are having and we are making, and we are progressing. At least they're trying to see our point of view. We're also trying to see their point of view. They're trying to see where can the middle ground come to, and then we all benefit. So the government doesn't feel like they're just investing and every year the product is not sustainable, because we also have to promote sustainability. Government can't invest year in year 2, year 3, year 100, like every year it's investing. Ideally, a product should be sustainable. That even when the government says we're not able to give you money, the product's revenue is way high to actually run on its own. That government will just maybe be a supplement of just a sponsor. But ideally, the church should be able to run on its own. That's what we aim at. Those are discussions we keep having until we shall all agree and we know we are all on the right still. Okay. Yeah.
So isn't that going to be a challenge, especially for now places like the cathedral? Because someone will also say that, now how do you tell me to first pay in order to go to this cathedral?
No, now the cathedral, that one we agreed we can't pay.
Okay.
Yeah. However, curio shops are there, because most people who come to the cathedral, especially when they have moved for faith, there's something they want to take home. Yeah. A memorabilia that I was actually in Rubaga. So you'll find a lot of merchandise. You'll find monuments, artifacts for, say, Mother Mary, artifacts for Jesus, artifacts for even the cathedral itself. You'll find rosaries, you'll find Bibles that have the word Rubaga Cathedral. So that way, whereas the money has not come in directly or I've paid a guide, I have still bought something, and that money trickles down to the economy, either the person who made the Bible, the person who crafted the artifact of the cathedral. So somehow money goes down into the economy. So they can now go into the cathedral, maybe have a prayer session. There's always mass, I think, every 3 hours. So people can join in, convene with their God, live spirit-filled, but they can still purchase something as they live. That's the model we have picked for places of worship Namirembe, Rubaga. Yeah, okay, Gaddafi is for paying. You'll have to pay a fee, but they still have artifacts. You can buy a Quran from there. You can also buy the English support one, which maybe helps you easily understand the Arabic Quran. Yeah, so those are all discussions. We are seeing how we have a win-win where the destination is promoted without compromising anything to do with faith. Because once you compromise the faith, you have killed the product.
Exactly.
Because the product is faith-based. So once the faith is compromised, you have compromised the product. So we always aim at making sure faith is key. Faith is the priority, and everything else is just supporting the faith. Because once faith is out of the picture, the product has died.
Okay.
Yeah.
So still talking about communities, for example, we've talked about how the church, where they cannot pay, can at least come up with a business that can support the sustainability. What about the neighboring communities? How can people leverage on the opportunities of, or how do they leverage on the opportunities that come by being close to these tourism? Because I'll give you an example. I lived in Namugongo, and sometimes during Matters Day it becomes a little inconveniencing where the roads are blocked. You have to use this, and then and you know the residents of Namugongo hate that season. But how can they I mean, how can they shift that nagging situation into an opportunity that can bring them revenue, and probably as a country?
Okay, revenue can be vast, but of course government is also looking at expanding infrastructure, because for example if the road network was wide, those are not issues. Those are issues people wouldn't be caring about, because they're like, okay, for the Matters maybe the downer lane is closed, so use the upper lane, and people will still be happy because, well, you've not blocked my access, you've just told me to use an alternative route that is okay, not making me pass in Samaram Road and then I'm struggling to find my way to work, then there's a lot of traffic, everyone is just jammed in there. So that is part of the development plan for Namugongo. How do we make its access very convenient even for the residents who don't want even to trade in any business, they just want to maybe go to their place of work because their work is not actually with the Matters. So that is part of the plan, but there's also still a lot the community can do around the sites, food, because one thing I've realized, whether you're happy, whether you're sad, whether you're angry, whether you're busy, whether you're mourning, you'll still eat. There'll be something you'll eat. So and people eat more when they're even happy. They will grab everything. So these are things we'd like to have along the way. That there's quality food. Someone can sit down and have a quality meal, even when they are a pilgrim, moving their journey of faith, of suffering sometimes, where they want to make sure their body is at their worst, to make sure they feel the spirit work within them. So food, accommodation, because I see people struggle with even accommodation. Those who would want to sleep comfortably, they just can't because it is not there. And these are discussions we've had with the church, but also with the Interreligious Council of Uganda, to see how all these agencies can be brought together, to see how these communities can be supported. For example, the memorabilia, if the church gives proper standard operating procedures, the community can be trained to actually do them. They don't need to do them, so it becomes only the church benefiting, but maybe the community can be trained to do the artifact for the cathedral, for example. Okay, this design is done by the community and they are sold, and maybe some keychains labeled with the name, I took a trip, or t-shirts, I took the journey of faith to Namugongo. You go home with a t-shirt, or for your friends, maybe I've seen those shirts where my friend traveled to Uganda and got me this. So you say, my friend traveled to Namugongo on the journey of faith and brought me this as a souvenir, and you give it to a friend as a t-shirt, and they'll be happy. And this will stay with them even longer. That even the friend they have gifted will now want to also come and do it on their own and experience what the friend also felt. So all these are discussions we are having, but the church is central to everything because it's the owner of the product. And also that could also be another challenge, because UTB doesn't own products. Yes. So products are owned by the church, now like a faith-based, they're owned by the church. So if you go to, for example, the national parks, they're owned by another entity. So you have to collaborate, you have to make sure you all converge to one point of thinking, because the product owner determines even the investment you're going to put on their product. Because for government, we want sustainability. So we want someone else to run the product, but in a model that is sustainable and is in line with government priorities for that particular period. So these are discussions we keep having, and yeah, we still see there's light, because the discussions we're having 10 years ago are not the same we're having now. The church is more receptive, more open, understands that we wish the best and we want this country to be the best it can ever be. Yes.
Okay, well, we are taking a short commercial break. When we return, we shall continue now. Feel free to be part of this conversation by sending us a WhatsApp or a text message on the numbers that will be displayed on the screen when we come back after the break.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Welcome back from that break. We are talking about unlocking the potential of religious tourism here in Uganda. Now we realize that we have quite a number of tourism places. You know, it is funny. One time someone was asking for a number of someone who can take them through Namirembe Cathedral. And then the colleague asked, so this was a school. So you're taking children to tour a church? So I think somehow to some people, a church is like,
so praying, and then you leave.
And then you take people to a church. What is even that? But now we know that these are all religious tourism centers that we can leverage on. And before the break, we talked about a number of things. So like I said earlier, that you can be part of this conversation by sending us a text message or WhatsApp. Do not call for now, but send a WhatsApp message or a text message on the numbers that are going to be displayed on the screen. Of course, we were talking about the local communities and how they can benefit in this, but also as a way of promoting, especially religious tourism. Have you used the church to take this message to the world out of Uganda? For example, as someone is coming into Uganda, there are screens that Uganda Tourism Board has positioned. As someone is coming in, there's a lot of tourism centers that are tourism products that are displayed. The gorillas, the what, but we never see some of these others, the Matters site or the Matters Museum or the Matters Shrine, or Gaddafi Mosque, things like that. But how are you packaging this message to send it to the world, either through influencers or through religious leaders themselves, or through fellow Ugandans who go out? Because we have passionate and patriotic Ugandans who want to speak positive about the country when they go out.
Maybe the times you pass, you don't see them, but they're actually
Yes.
part. Yeah, they are also.
I only see these others.
You only see the gorilla,
Yes.
see ginger.
Uh-huh.
No, they're also part. But I know there's been a cry, especially from the church, that we need to also enhance the products, like, because the gorilla is already known anyway. So we could also look at the less visited. Yeah. So these are things you're going to make sure are done, like especially the Matters Trail, but also the other faith-based, the Kampala City Tour, because you find most people who do the Matters Trail take it as part of the Kampala City. And you notice most of our faith in Uganda, it's hard to separate them from the politics. It's also hard to separate them from the culture, because you notice Namirembe was once owned by the kingdom. So you find the kingdom also has a story on why the place was called Namirembe. So it's also a story they would want to tell. Yeah. So there's sometimes a fusion. Yeah. Even you find Rubaga was also by the kingdom as well. So they also have a story to it. And why did they choose to give them Rubaga and not maybe let go of Bulange? So all those are stories that are told. So it will be a good thing to fuse in and also market them better. That we shall do. And also maybe move away from just advertising them during the days. For example, you find Bishop Hannington, it's in October, so you find maybe from the first week of October, that's when you find all its commercials going out. Or you find Matters, the commercials go out in May towards the day. So you're also going to look at a plan where these are talked about the whole year. Like any time of the year you come in, like how we talk about the gorillas year in, year out, we also talk about these other products. I would say such even we also reduce the dependency of the destination on nature-based products. Like they could also explore other products outside nature. So that is a work in progress, and we are going to enhance it more and more until the product is out there and talking for itself without even so much words. Yes.
So among the things that you work on is regulating the sector.
Yes.
So as you regulate the sector, are there tour guides who are willing to add this on their products, that when I receive a tourist, I do not take them to the equator. Before I take them, I'll give them a night walk through Kampala, or I'll give them a visit to Namgongo, Namirembe, or Lubaga, or Gaddafi.
Okay, we've not had guides that, apart from the site guides, we have site guides where you only do for that site. Yeah. So we have the site guides of Munyonyo, Namirembe, Rubaga, Namgongo. Those are site guides. So outside that site, you can't guide. Yeah. So maybe another guide can come with their clients, and then you take over because you're the site guide. Yeah. But we also have guides that just cover city, so cover Kampala only. So they'll also have those products embedded in their regulation, that this guide is knowledgeable enough to take someone through the Kampala product. So that means they are knowledgeable on the whole Uganda Kingdom product because it's part of the city. They're knowledgeable on the entertainment areas in the city. They're knowledgeable on the political issues in the city, because that means you have to take someone to the parliament, take them to the first monument, take them to the 0 point. Where do we count zero from as people take their journeys? So you must be knowledgeable in those spaces, but also the religious spaces, the different cathedrals, what is unique to them, the mosque, what is unique to it, the Baha'i temple. Then you also have the national guides, which literally can do both the city and also take you out of the city for any product that you'd like to. So they are categorized and they are licensed according to that. But there are basic minimums for all guides, which is level 1, which looks at customer care, audibility, knowledge of the language. So those ones cut across every guide, regardless of whether you're a site guide, a local guide, or a national guide. Okay. Yeah, but they are there. They may not be particular to, like, I only do faith, because also would also promote diversity. You should be able to earn income from various sources. If you get clientele that are into faith-based, you should be able to meet their needs. If you get clients who want the whole city, you should be able to meet their needs. If you get clients who want to move down to the safaris or do adventure, you should be able to also take them through that journey. Yes.
So if all this is done, God willing, how do you see the future? How do you view the future of religious tourism in Uganda?
The future is bright, very, very bright, because we've seen other countries where their only product is religion. For example, Israel. Like that's what it's known for in the world. Religion, Mecca. And they have events year in, year out. I grew up thinking people only go to Mecca for the Hajj ceremonies. No, as I grew up, then I realized there is Umrah. There are so many others. So it has events every time of the year. So this is something we could also do, and people keep going back. Like the same people, someone went there last year, next year they go back. Then I'm like, okay, weren't you done? No, I was not done. Then I'm like, now let me add this other country on because of the, like Israel. Like, let me add Egypt to also know the story of the children of Israel. They say, no, now let me add Turkey to visit the 7 churches. So these are things we are also going to look into and make sure it's a product that has bits every year, that anytime you want to come back, it's giving you something new. It gives you something fresh and keeps you wanting to come back every other time. Okay. Yes.
There's a question here that I want us to get into even before we continue with that, because it's partly important. What does Uganda Tourism Board do for tour guides who are harsh on clients, but also tour guides who promise clients things and they never fulfill them? For instance, someone tells you they'll take you through the Equator, then they take you through Queen Elizabeth, and then when they realize that they undercharged you, they never explain to you, but they instead try to rethink and do what pleases them and what is within the budget they asked you for. So where do I report in such a situation?
Okay. In such as, actually, it's not right. It's a crime. Okay. But one thing I would advise clients is when you're making a conversation with a guide, document it. Because we don't want a situation where it's your word against mine. I'm the guide, you're the client, and you're saying, you told me this. I'm like, no, I didn't tell you. So it's very important, once you agree on an itinerary, the person should send it to you, that this is your itinerary, day 1, day 2, up to day 5, or day 3, whichever day you're ending on. And you say, I consent to this, and this is what we shall follow. So that in case this is not met, and you report your case to UTB, we're able to charge the tour guide. And if they're found guilty, they can either refund the bit of the money for the products that you didn't undertake, or if it was a case of fraud, they could even be delicensed, where they're not allowed to be a guide. And I also encourage people to use only guides that are licensed by UTB, and then the UTB website. So when you're picking up a guide, check the UTB website. Are these licensed guides? Because now when you bring to us a guide that is not licensed, we don't know where to start from, because we're not even sure whether he meets the first requirements. Because ideally, a licensed guide by UTB should not be harsh to a client, because it's in level 1, it's basic. Like, that's the basic course they go through. So each of them should be very, very calm and very composed, able to give information and able to be polite. Yes.
Okay. How do you measure this?
We work with the DIT, which does an assessment. They are taken through classes. So once they're done with the classes, they do practicals to actually show how they're going to do this. They're also given case scenarios where you have maybe an irate client, because sometimes tourists can be very angry and very irate, maybe by a past experience or what you maybe could have done and they took it a wrong way. So how do you deal with them? And once they pass the assessment, UTB gives them an ID. Yes. Okay. But now they are licensed as a guide.
Okay. So we've talked about all this. We've talked about the government coming through to support religious tourism and the initiatives that the government is undertaking to see that it grows these. And of course, when, for example, we talk about like the Uganda Matters Museum in Namgongo, when people go through to pay, the money seems to be going to the treasury of the management of the museum.
Yes,
so how does the government benefit in all this?
Government, that's why you'll also ask me, how does the government benefit in a road? Sometimes, you see, the government has two benefits. It has the financial benefit, it also has the economic benefit. The financial is money, but government focuses majorly on the economic benefit. How are its citizens? Are they happy? Are people earning money? How many people are being employed by this structure being there? And what is the multiplier effect to other sectors of the economy? Maybe if the museum has a bit of maybe a restaurant in the future, like that means you're moving down to the agriculture industry. You're moving down to culinary as well. So how does this product propel development? How does it increase household income? So once that is met, this other bit of how much is coming back to tax is secondary. And you find, most of the things are embedded in taxes. So if I pay, somehow there's a tax that will be paid. Either when you're purchasing something, so somehow government will get it in the long run.
Thank you so much for the show. I'm Enoch watching from Namirembe. Thank you so much, Enoch. Thank you so much for the show. This one is also. Thank you so much for the show. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm learning a lot about religious tourism. First of all, I didn't know that Rubaga Cathedral is a tourism site. Of course, I've heard people talk about Namirembe because of its architecture plan, but I didn't know about Rubaga. Now that I know, I should go and visit Rubaga as well. Thank you so much for the show. It's interesting when we talk about religious tourism. What are you going to do, and how are you going to address the issue of the negative voices that come against some of these sites? For example, you've know the social media role between, I reserve the names that this person is talking about the matters and how people go to worship idols and okay.
Okay, I get the point, but
yes,
one thing with matters, it's faith, yeah?
Okay.
My faith is not your faith, yeah? For example, if you went to Nakaima, the faith of the people, that's why it's actually called faith-based, yeah? It is according to someone's faith. If someone's faith is aligned there, I don't think it's a point where you now start arguing and all. Otherwise, you might have now to go through the entire catechism and they take you through the whole process. It might even not appear as you see it. You might think they are worshipping the idols, it actually they are not, yeah? It's just how it appears, but it may not be the truth. Yeah, but in the end, people who do the religious tourism, it's just for faith. Either they're moving for faith or they are moving out of curiosity. They just want to understand what do people believe in, like how are they convicted. And I'll give you an example. The time we're doing an assessment of the faith-based sites, and our journey took us to the temples in Jinja. I'm a Christian, yeah? So of course they had a bit of the number of gods. So we were chanced to be met by the person who was heading the temple. So we have interaction with him. And I was very disturbed, yeah? Then he looked at my face and I think realized, as this person is noting, she's disturbed. Then he asked, what's up? Are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not okay. Then I asked, how do you have so many gods? Like, okay, then I told, okay, you want marriage, then you go to this god. You want money, you go to this god. Like, everything you want in life is a particular god. Like, you cannot relay your problems to one person. Like, isn't it so tiring? Like, now today I have a money issue. This God. I have a wife issue, it's this God. I have a children issue. Like, isn't it so cumbersome? Then the guy asked me one question. We also wonder how you burden one God with all your problems. And then I realized, until you maybe go deeper into understanding someone's religion or faith, it's very easy to judge, easy to think they are on the right trajectory. Well, whereas it was very, it was very contradictory with my faith, I didn't judge at all anymore. I also now understood that whereas we look at our religion as the perfect one, they also look at it as one that maybe could also have its own deficiencies. So it's best to appreciate people as they are. If you're there for faith, please follow. If you're there for curiosity, learn what you can and move on. Same even with Visaka. I also had one with Visaka. It was a very long one, and which I don't want to go into. It was quite contradictory. Yeah, but that one for the temple amazed me.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sami, watching from Rubaga here. So what are you going to do for those who the government gave over 200 million to organize a Matters Day ceremony that was never? Are they going to refund that money? Or we hear they have also said they want to move their mosque from that place to another place. Are they still going to burden you as Uganda Tourism Board to give them money to relocate the mosque?
I think that will be our Ministry of Finance issue and IGG if there's any misuse of money. Yeah, and I think that will be a detailed submission if there's anything. If it was used the right way, Ministry of Finance will have a full detailed report. If there's an issue of misuse, IGG will come through. And all those will be rectified, whether we shall add them money or not. To be according to the report that they will have presented.
Thank you so much for the show. Kindly help me ask Sophie, why does Uganda Tourism Board take time to put monuments of tourism sites only along Kamocha Road, and you can never find them on Entebbe Road, where tourists pass to come to Uganda? Which tourist passes through Kamocha to the airport?
But there are monuments on Entebbe Road. Okay, not Entebbe Road of Kampala, but there are monuments from the airport.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless the person has not been there for a long time.
Well, probably. And
these are part of the developments. Entebbe Road has, even Uganda Kingdom has done monuments along the street. Yeah, for the Kamocha we did, because if you look at the Google Maps, it's the Wildlife Street. So imagine having a wildlife street with no wildlife. Like, why is it called wildlife? So that's how those monuments came to be there. Yeah, on that stretch. Yeah, but there are also monuments along Entebbe Road, I'm very sure. Yeah, I'm very certain.
So and maybe this person is disturbed. Why?
No, there are monuments along Entebbe Road. Maybe they should take time and go back.
Okay.
And head to the airport.
Okay. Yes. So, Sophie, what are your closing remarks as we wind up this discussion, especially when it gets to religious tourism?
What I would say about religious tourism, it's a very vast area. Yeah, you cannot be at a point where you like. You know this or you don't know this. And even in the visiting of other faiths, there's a lot you also get to know about your faith, and either how you look at your God and how people look at their God. Yeah. So it's also a journey that I think everyone should take once in a while. Yeah. Even to these very, very weird spaces, sometimes you need to take it and understand their point of view, such that it gives you confidence in the God you believe in, or makes you understand that either you're in a relationship with your God that is shaky, that you need to improve on, because you get to see, when you visit these sites, you're literally visiting people who are fully rooted in that faith. So you're looking at devotion, you're looking at conviction, you're looking at commitment, and that's what most faiths call us to do. So it also gives you a point where you self-check and ascertain yourself on some life decisions you're making or some experiences you're going through that. So I would encourage everyone to take this journey, take the journey of faith, visit these sites and understand their beliefs. But also, there's a lot that Uganda has to offer. Uganda is a very beautiful country. I have moved. I have not seen a country as beautiful as Uganda. Even when you just look at food. Actually, food is usually the first thing that makes me want to come back home. So Uganda is very beautiful. No one should ever convince you otherwise. Regardless of what is happening, Uganda is a very beautiful country, and there's a lot to see, do, and learn within this country. So it's a call. Please travel this country. It will indeed give you an adventure of a lifetime. Whether you choose the religious tourism space or adventure, or you choose wildlife, any point you choose to go to, whether culture, it will indeed give you an adventure of a lifetime. So explore this destination, you'll be amazed.
Okay. Yes. So in case someone wants to check out on these tourism sites, where do they go?
They can go on our website, because our website has a general catalog that shows all the product offerings that we have, but also links you to operators that do various packages. So you choose a package of choice, and then it will list you the two operators that can help you go through. Or if you're on a solo trip, gives you just an itinerary on what you can do.
Okay.
Yes, on your own. So just visit the UTB website and explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa website. You should be able to get all the information that you require. Okay. Yes.
Thank you so much, Sophie. Wow. So we know that Uganda has quite a lot to offer. Now we are breaking shortly, and then of course the Uganda we want returns after the break.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Welcome back from the break. We are still continuing with the Uganda we want, and of course we are looking at unlocking the potential of religious tourism here in our country, our motherland, and that is Uganda. Now, we are joined in with Mr. Okrut Lazarus, who is a program officer from the IRC, that is Inter-Religious Council of Uganda Tourism Center. Okrut,
yes,
it's
sir.
A pleasure having you this morning.
It's a pleasure to be part of the show today.
Yes.
And first, allow me to apologize for coming late.
Good you're here, better late than never.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, we are talking about the potential of religious tourism in Uganda here. And someone would really want to, because someone might say, is there anything like IRCU Tourism Center? So someone would really want to know what is entailed in the Inter-Religious Council of Uganda Tourism Center.
Inter-Religious Tourism Center is a tourism initiative, or at IRCU, that is Inter-Religious Council of Uganda, which was established purposely to coordinate the tourism activities of the Inter-Religious Council of Uganda member organizations. So here we are looking at promoting, developing, and making sure that there is something tangible that comes out of the religious heritage of the member organizations. Yes.
Okay. And what is entailed in all this? How have you packaged the promoting and the developing?
From day one, when the center was established, everything looked impossible, but we can say there is a little bit of progress right now, and we can see how the participation at Namgongo was a little this year. A few comments from the previous, you can attest to that. There was some positive public response. Two, that is, we're looking at ensuring that there is anticipation for participation at these events. So IRSU has been making collaborations with government entities, with private sector. Those are the tour operators. Two, still in promotions, under promotions, we have a website that is tourism.irsc.or.ug that has all the religious tourism products and sites in Uganda, the religious accommodations or religious institutions, establishments, those are accommodations, and other investments that have been done around the religious tourism sector of Uganda. Yes.
Okay. Still talking about this tourism. Can you give us just a few that are under the docket of this tourism center?
A few. We have. Let's look at the metropolitan one. Yes.
Yes.
We have the Namgongo. If we talk about the Namgongo, we're looking at the three sites. That is the Catholic shrine. We have the Anglican site. They don't like calling it a shrine, so don't call it a shrine. We have the Masjid Nur. That is also under the further developments and improvements, so that next year it can also host the matters. We have Munyonyo Minor Basilica. We have the Baha'i Temple. We have the Gaddafi Mosque. We have the Namirembe Cathedral. We have Mapera Nabulagala, where there is the very first church of the Catholic Church in Uganda was established. They call it the cradleland of the Catholic in Uganda. We have so very many around, both within Kampala and outside. That is nationally, yeah.
And what are some of the initiatives that you're carrying on as IRCU to see that you promote these? Because Sophie has told us what Uganda Tourism Board is doing, but we want to see what IRCU is doing to see that you promote these tourism sites.
First, we have been doing community engagements, because if we noticed as IRCU, we are coordinating the member organizations, so we are working on their behalf. So we had to make sure that they are part of the initiatives. So last year we trained tour guides. Those are youth from different member organizations to ensure that they own it. They own the whole religious tourism product. Secondly, we did a matters trail. with the religious leaders so that the religious leaders get to understand that IRSU may be talking about the religious tourism product in Uganda, but we don't know. So we showed them that, no, wait, you also have these things. So to see that there is progress, Namirembe has now a tourism office, Namirembe Cathedral. Namgongo has a tourism office. Bahai Temple has a tourism office. Gaddafi Mosque has a tourism office. Munyonyo is also establishing a tourism office. So you can see that the religious IRSU has really worked hard to ensure that through these initiatives of 1, community engagement, 2, training the tour guides, 3, developing packages. That is the Matters Trail. There is the Walk of Faith. We are introducing the Uganda Matters Run so that these all amplify, all galvanize the promotion of the product. Yes.
How does the collaboration with the government, because you know that through Uganda Tourism Board, how does this collaboration boost your activities at the center?
1, we can't do it without government. So these people are government. So government gives them a budget for, and Uganda Tourism Board, like Sophie said, is a marketing agency for the tourism product in Uganda. Then Uganda Ministry of Tourism is a policy and monitoring, a mother ministry in the country. So working with them, more so with Ministry of Tourism, is about infrastructure. So ensure that these sites get enough infrastructure in place. For UTB, Uganda Tourism Board has a bigger picture, has a mandate purposely to promote. So for us, we are working with them to ensure that the opinions of the member organizations of IRCU are respected. Yeah, because UTB may decide to do it in a business way while compromising with the religious aspect. So for us, the religious leader says, no, wait, we want it, but let it be this way. And that is what exactly we are doing. So we are working hand in hand to see that there is no side that is compromised.
Have you encountered any challenges so far in trying to push tourism, religious tourism, as IRSU?
Yes, the biggest one is the budget.
Okay.
Yeah, the biggest one is the budget, but we are working. It's by faith, not by sight. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about any other dealing with people? We are not easy people to deal with. For example, in Namgongo, you tell us, don't go here, we go here. Then the others are supposed to pay something at the museum, and then others look at it as turning faith into business. How do you deal with such controversies that come up with dealing with people?
A good question. When it comes to Namgongo, more so on the D-Day, the Matters Day, there is always a national organizing committee. So there are roles everyone plays. There is a role security plays, because there are those who want to sell business while also compromising security. There are a lot of things that happen. So every MDA handles a role because they are represented at the NOC. When it comes to charging fees, actually there's a proposal going on that we introduce the entry fees at all religious sites. 1, we need to maintain them. 2, we need to ensure that the people who work there at the end of the day are appreciated. 3, we need to promote more because if we keep attracting crowds at these sites, it means more business is continuous. It is not one day thing. So amidst all that, it's about making them understand why we are doing it. It's not about shoving them that you should accept. No, it is about dialoguing and say, wait, see, this is how it comes about. At the end of the day, they appreciate it.
Won't this block some people from coming to practice their faith? Because if people walk and then after the event, the Matters Day event, they don't even have transport back home. So it is the people, the leadership of the shrine or the site that have to get into the treasury and transport them back. So how about if you now attach a fee?
No.
Won't this block others from
No. We are not attaching a fee on the D-Day.
Okay.
The D-Day is generally free participation. Okay. It's for prayers. Okay. Even during other days, we are introducing pilgrimage packages Okay, if you have come for prayers, there'll be a way of identification that here I've come for prayers. So you're given a different either wristband or tag. Okay, so that there's someone doesn't handle it. They'll tell you, okay, please go this side for prayers. Then those who want to go for pilgrimage take a different direction. There's a differentiated way of identification for that. Okay. So on top of those who come for pilgrimages, I think more sensitization is going to take place. At least few cases were there this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So still, how are you viewing the aspect of communities, community participation, but also communities leveraging on the opportunities that come with such days and such, being closer to such places. For example, someone who is closer to Gaddafi Mosque or Naminembe Cathedral, or someone closer to Lubaga Cathedral, or maybe closer to Namgongo. How are you planning to see that at the end of that day, they also benefit in staying closer or having business closer to these places?
UTB for all these years has been making awareness on stay-ins. Okay, so most of the people around Namgongo have been providing their homes as stay-ins during the busy days. So they get somewhere where they can, it's like business starts. Because if you notice their challenges, the best way, instead of you complaining, to figure around that, okay, I think through this, so that you hit two birds with one stone. Your home, the business during the day, or you can also stay around, but while making something, hosting some people, because Namgongo has no accommodations right now. So people's homes sometimes are used as accommodations, and people pay. They pay them. Yeah. So literally, people around these sites have to work with Inter-Religious Council of Uganda to see how they can be a little bit also how they can also benefit from these places, because they are theirs. They are owned by the community. IRC is literally coming with a technical view and say, oh wait, you have been having this for years, but this can come out of this. You can get from this, government can get out of this and this, and business continues as usual.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to know more about the various religious sites available that are being promoted by the faith, by the denominations, the faith denominations, or the various religions, how do they get this information? How do they reach out to you as IRSCU?
For that, there's IRSU is finalizing with building up the tourism center website. Okay. That is the Inter-Religious Tourism Center website. It's tourism.irsu.or.ug. Then also communication can be done direct through Secretary General at irsu.or.ug for any other information that is that concerns the tourism department. Or general about IRSU.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about offices? Can people come to your offices to inquire about some of these, how they can be part, or probably someone thinks there is a space, or there is a place that you've not considered as part of the tourism sites, yet it is worthy?
Oh, okay. Yes, you see, tourism, it's about tourism comes up with new products every day. Because when the tourism center started, we started, I think, with around 45 sites. But when we did the audit with the UTB, we came up with around 126
religious sites.
Yes. As of yesterday, the Muslims gave me more 35 sites.
So those 135 as
plus the others. So the number keeps on increasing. Orthodox last month sent me around 17 sites.
Wow.
So the number keeps on increasing. Anyhow, our offices are located along Sentema Road in Mengo, just below Dr. Albert Cook Hospital. So there we are accessible during working hours, Monday to Friday. Friday we work half day because of the Muslim faith. We are interreligious, interfaith, so we need to respect the Juma. So Friday you can only come to office between 8:30 to 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what are your closing remarks as we wind up with today's show of the Uganda We Want?
I would actually want to say that tourism is everyone's business.
Yeah.
Whether directly or indirectly you're doing a tourism. When you travel, at least you buy water. And when you buy water, you're tourist, you've left some money there. Tourism, why we should embrace it, every tourist, at least, who comes to Uganda, or every pilgrim that trekked to Uganda left something. And at least employed maximum or minimum 4 people. So for an international tourist, employs around 9 people. A local tourist employs around 5 people. So how many jobs are we creating if we promoted it more? And tourism promotion is everyone's responsibility. Social media is everywhere.
Thank you so much, Lazarus, and thank you so much to you. We have come to the end of today's the Uganda We Want show, and we want to thank you so much for being part of this show. Of course, from where we started from up to now, Edrine Osteen Mukalazi is my name. I've worked with Liz and Essie. Of course, we wish you a blessed day.